My wife's lover thought he had won. But when he married another woman, I sent him a gift. He opened it, read the note, and froze. His new wife gasped, and my wife called me, begging for mercy. She didn't know the gift wasn't just for him. It was my final act of revenge. It was supposed to be an ordinary evening, the kind where everything felt just right. The air smelled of freshly brewed coffee, and the quiet hum of the refrigerator was the only sound filling the still kitchen. A soft glow from the living room lamp cast a warm light across the space, while the large window revealed peaceful streets bathed in the amber hues of the setting sun. My wife, Ava, and I sat across from each other at the kitchen table, silently eating dinner. We had been married for 5 years, and until recently, everything seemed perfect. Our home was modest but cozy, nothing extravagant, yet it was ours. The walls were decorated with framed photos from our travels, and our wedding day was captured in vivid color, as if frozen in time. There were no visible cracks in our relationship, no clear signs of trouble. But as the night went on, a troubling thought crept into my mind, one I couldn't shake. Ava had been distant lately, more than usual. Her smiles felt forced, her responses were distracted, and there was a coldness in her eyes that I hadn't noticed before. It wasn't something obvious, more like a whisper in the back of my mind, a nagging feeling that something was wrong. Still, I had no proof. No clear evidence. Just a growing suspicion. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. We had been through a lot together. The stress of daily life, work pressures, and the occasional misunderstandings. These were normal challenges, and we had overcome them all. I wasn't going to let a few strange behaviors make me doubt everything we had built. But then, the clues started adding up. The first sign was subtle, a small detail that, in hindsight, should have been enough to alert me. Ava, who always kept her phone within arm's reach, suddenly started leaving it out of sight. She would take it with her to the bathroom, or it would be turned face down on the kitchen counter. Little things. Details you don't notice until you do. One evening, while she was in the shower, I glanced at her phone. Just a quick look. A message popped up from someone named David. The text itself seemed harmless, asking if she wanted to meet up later that week. But the tone of it made my stomach twist. The words felt too casual, too familiar. Something in my gut told me this wasn't just a friend. Yet I still didn't act. I wanted to believe there was an explanation. After all, I had no real proof. But then there were the late nights. I would wake up and find Ava lying beside me, but the silence felt heavy. When I asked what she was doing, she would say she was just finishing some work, but I knew it was a lie. The distraction in her eyes, the way she slightly shifted away from me, it was all there, clear for anyone who knew how to look. The breaking point came when I hired a private investigator. He wasn't cheap, but the more I thought about it, the more I knew I couldn't ignore the feeling in my chest. I needed to know the truth. The investigator's report confirmed my worst fears. Ava had been having an affair with David for 6 months. I remember the sickening feeling that washed over me as I read the details. My mind raced, flashing back to every moment I had trusted her. Every moment, she had seemed like the woman I married. I felt betrayed. Utterly and completely. Then came the worst part, the final piece of the puzzle. The investigator had taken photographs, images of them together. Laughing, touching, kissing. In public. Ava was wearing the necklace I had given her for our anniversary. And there she was, letting another man hold her. The weight of that realization hit me like a brick wall. My heart twisted. But I wasn't done. Not yet. I needed to know everything. This wasn't just a secret relationship. It was a complete betrayal of everything we had built together. Then I learned about their upcoming wedding. David had proposed. And Ava had said yes. I couldn't comprehend it. She had agreed. The realization that Ava was planning to marry him, the same way she had once promised to marry me, hit me like a thunderclap. There was no more denial. No more pretending that everything was fine. It was time to act. I waited for the day of their wedding with a calmness I had never known. And when the day finally arrived, while Ava was busy preparing for the ceremony, I made my move. I carefully wrapped a gift for David, something that would make him realize just how much he had underestimated me. The package was covered in deep red paper, with a note tied delicately to the top. The wedding took place at a picturesque venue. From my home, I made my way to the location, blending in with the guests. The sweet scent of roses filled the air. Ava, the bride, looked radiant, as she always did. But beneath her beauty, I could see the emptiness. She looked happy, so at peace with her choice. David, standing at the altar with a smug grin, believed he had won. He thought he was free from me, but he was about to learn just how wrong he was. I waited patiently, the gift in my hands. As soon as they exchanged vows, I stood up. A hush fell over the room. All eyes turned to me, confusion flashing across their faces. With slow, deliberate movements, I handed David the package. His expression flickered, just for a moment, but he took it, a curious smile still on his lips. The guests whispered. Ava's eyes narrowed. In that moment, I knew, she knew, something was coming. David tore off the wrapping. Inside, he found an envelope. He unfolded the letter, and as his eyes scanned the words, the color drained from his face. He froze. The note was simple, yet it carried the weight of everything he needed to know. You thought you were safe, didn't you? I know everything. And now, you'll know exactly what it feels like to be betrayed. Enjoy your wedding day, because it will be your last moment of happiness. His hands trembled. Slowly, he handed the letter to Ava. Her confusion turned to shock, then to horror. She gasped as she read the contents. Inside the envelope weren't just words, but evidence. Photos of her and David. Proof of their affair. Details of their secret meetings. I had made sure she understood just how deep the betrayal ran. The room was silent. Ava dropped the letter, tears spilling down her face. David stood motionless, struggling to process what had just happened. Their perfect wedding had turned into a nightmare. And I stood there, knowing I had delivered justice. The satisfaction was bittersweet. But I wasn't done. Exposing their affair wasn't enough. David needed to lose everything, his job, his reputation, his life as he knew it. And Ava, she needed to feel the same devastation she had inflicted on me. I started with David. I had learned that his career was built on lies, his success earned through manipulation and deceit. It wasn't hard to find what I needed. A few well-placed words with his colleagues. Subtle doubts whispered into the right ears. Within a week, David was fired from his prestigious position. Ava was even easier to destroy. She had always been obsessed with her image. So, I revealed the truth to the people she valued most, her colleagues, her friends, her social circle. There was no room for doubt. Her friends abandoned her. Her coworkers distanced themselves. Soon, she became the talk of the town for all the wrong reasons. And then, the inevitable happened.